You guys, we need to talk about Ned Fulmer because this is absolutely wild. He's back, he's copying the Try Guys, and the internet is losing it. I'm talking full-on backlash, brutal comments, and a move so bold it's actually kind of shocking. So let's get into everything that's happening right now, because trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Ned Fulmer just dropped a trailer for a brand new series, and it looks exactly like the Try Guys content he used to make. I'm talking the same format, the same vibe, the same concept of trying new things every video. He's stepping into professionals' shoes, experimenting with different activities, and basically doing everything the Try Guys do, just without them. The wild part? He strategically avoided saying the words try or trying throughout the entire promo, but it's so obvious what he's going for here. He's literally trying to recreate the Try Guys formula on his own channel, and people are not having it. The series is called Build a More Curious World, and it's set to launch on October 19th. In his announcement post, Ned said he's been working on this for the past couple of years, and that making people laugh while learning new things has always been his passion. He's promising incredible guests, organizations, and challenges that will push him completely out of his comfort zone. But here's the thing, the comment section is absolutely brutal. People are saying this is embarrassing, that he should try being humble, and that he needs to accept that his image can't be fixed. One person even commented that he should try fidelity next, which is honestly savage but also exactly the kind of response he's getting across the board. What's really interesting is that these videos aren't cheap to produce. He's clearly got a whole crew working with him, and you have to wonder where he thinks this is going to lead. Does he really believe he can recoup the costs? Is he hoping to reach a new audience that doesn't know about his past? Because based on the reactions so far, that strategy doesn't seem to be working. The production quality looks high, the locations look expensive, and there are clearly multiple people involved in making this happen. That's a significant investment for someone whose reputation is in the state that his is. And honestly, if anything is going to keep his name connected to the cheating scandal, it's him trying to redo what he was doing at that exact time when everything went down. It's like he's stuck in this loop, unable to move forward, and instead choosing to recreate the exact circumstances that led to his downfall in the first place. Now, this whole thing actually explains his recent wrestling appearance. A few weeks ago, Ned showed up at an untaped AEW event in Florida under the ring name Nasty Ned, standing in the ring with actual professional wrestlers. Everyone was so confused about why he was there, asking if this was some kind of humiliation ritual, or if his podcast just wasn't working out. But now it makes sense. He was probably filming content for this new series, and wrestling was just one of the things he's trying. But even with that explanation, people are still asking, what kind of humiliation ritual is this? Why is he putting himself through all of this just to stay in the spotlight? The wrestling thing felt so random and out of left field that people genuinely thought he was having some kind of breakdown. Now we know it was all part of this larger plan, but that doesn't make it any less bizarre or desperate looking. Before this series announcement, Ned had already been attempting a comeback through his podcast called Rock Bottom. He launched it last month, positioning it as a space for people who've been canceled, struggled with addiction, or hit their lowest point to share their stories and talk about growth. His very first guest was his wife, Ariel, and let me tell you, that conversation did not go well for him. Ariel made it brutally clear that they are no longer together romantically and that she has not forgiven him for what happened. She didn't sugarcoat anything, and honestly, it painted Ned in a terrible light. For him to put that out there so publicly, knowing that his own wife hasn't forgiven him, definitely wasn't setting up the space for the internet to forgive him either. People were genuinely shocked that he released that episode. The response was immediate, with viewers saying, "This ain't it," and flooding his comments with backlash. Every time he posts now, the comments are just full of criticism. And the thing is, people aren't ready to accept him as someone who should be leading conversations about redemption and growth. The whole concept of rock bottom just feels off-putting to a lot of viewers because they don't see him as qualified to be that person. How can you guide others through their rock bottom moments when you haven't even been forgiven by your own wife? That's the question people keep asking, and it's a valid one. During that same podcast episode, there was this really telling moment where Ned was talking about his previous online identity being so tied to his family and his wife, and how he didn't really like that even though it's what did well. He explained that producers would lean into the wife guy persona and craft situations around it. And over time, he felt super pigeonholed into just fulfilling that one role in the Try Guys dynamic. He described himself as kind of a caricature, which is interesting because that caricature is what made him famous and successful in the first place. He said he has a desire to create and tell stories, but he doesn't want it to be about himself as a character or his personal life anymore. He sees himself more as a host and a vehicle for other people's stories, which sounds noble in theory but feels a bit disconnected from reality when you look at what he's actually doing. And then Ariel hit him with this question that honestly sums up what everyone is thinking. You think you're interesting enough? She genuinely questioned whether he could carry a show on his own. And based on what we're seeing now with this new series, she was probably already aware of what he'd been filming. It seems like she was skeptical from the start, and honestly the internet is echoing that same skepticism right now. The fact that she asked that question so directly with no filter really shows where their relationship is at. There's no protecting his ego anymore, no preserving the image. She's being brutally honest, and he's having to face the reality that maybe the persona he built his career on was the only thing people actually cared about. What's really fascinating about all of this is that Ned has a chemistry degree from Yale. He could literally do anything else with his life. He could work behind the scenes, he could pivot to a completely different career, he could fade into obscurity and live a normal life. But instead, he's choosing to stay in the spotlight and try to rebuild his public image through content creation. And it's just not working. Multiple people in the comments have pointed this out, saying he could have easily transitioned to doing backstage work or production, staying in the industry he loves without having to be the face of it. But that's clearly not what he wants. People keep pointing out that what made Ned interesting in the first place was his wife and the other Try Guys. Without those elements, he's just not that compelling on his own. The internet is telling him this repeatedly in the comments, saying that his wife made him interesting and that he needed the group dynamic to make those videos work. The Try Guys worked because it was 4 different personalities bouncing off each other, creating this fun chemistry that people loved watching. Ned was one piece of that puzzle, but he wasn't the whole picture. Going solo might either humble him or he'll just blame the internet for being unforgiving and never actually process the feedback he's getting. But either way, it's clear that his identity as a dad and husband was a huge part of his appeal, and now that he's trying to distance himself from those titles, people are questioning what's left. There's also this sense that all of this is stemming from his ego. Why else would he be starting his own version of the Try Guys right now, doing exactly what he was doing before, just on his own show? Was that always his desire, to be the star and the main character? Because if that's the case, it's becoming pretty obvious, and it's not landing well with audiences. It makes you wonder if he always felt overshadowed by the other guys, if he always thought he deserved to be the center of attention. And maybe that mindset is part of what led to the scandal in the first place. This need to be seen, to be validated, to be the main character in every story. So here's where we're at. Ned is officially re-entering the public eye with this new series that launches October 19th, and he's apparently still doing his podcast at the same time. It's a little confusing how all of this fits together. Is it all going on the same channel? How is he managing both projects? And more importantly, who is actually going to watch this? The podcast already isn't getting great reception, and now he's adding this whole other layer of content that people seem even less interested in. The trailer shows him doing everything from running marathons to experiencing extreme G-forces, learning about different jobs, helping people find love, which is absolutely wild considering what he was canceled for, tasting amazing food, cooking, and getting roasted by comedians. It's basically the Try Guys format with different people, and the internet is not buying it. People are calling it embarrassing and saying he should just accept the loss and move on. The fact that he's investing so much money and resources into this production is honestly baffling when the public response has been so overwhelmingly negative. You have to wonder who's funding this, who's supporting this decision, and whether anyone in his circle is being honest with him about how this is being received. One of the most tone-deaf parts of the trailer is the segment where he says he'll be helping others find love. Given that he was literally canceled for cheating on his wife, having him in any kind of relationship advice or matchmaking role feels incredibly inappropriate. The comments are roasting him for this specifically, with people saying he's the absolute last person anyone should want help from in that department. It shows a real lack of self-awareness, or maybe it's intentional, and he thinks leaning into the controversy will get him views. Either way, it's not working in his favor. There's actually a really interesting point to be made here about cancel culture and redemption. Some people do successfully come back from scandals and rebuild their careers, but the key difference is usually genuine accountability, time away from the spotlight, and coming back with something completely different that shows real growth and change. Ned is doing the opposite. He's rushing back. He's doing the exact same thing he was doing before, and he's not showing any real understanding of why people are upset with him. That's why this feels so doomed to fail. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Is Ned making a huge mistake trying to recreate the Try Guys on his own? Or do you think there's a chance this could work? Do you believe people will eventually forgive him, or is this just going to keep him stuck in the past? And honestly, what would you do if you were in his position? Would you stay in the spotlight or fade away? Is there any path to redemption here, or has he burned that bridge completely? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and send this to a friend who's been following the Ned Fulmer drama as closely as we have. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!